Steve Wiseman, he is the Duke beat writer for the Raleigh News and Observer, joining us on the program as we talk about Zion Williamson as this case moves forward. How big a story is this in the area, the Durham area, Steve?
Yeah, it's a big deal, and mainly, the rivals are really on top of each other here, right? Carolina down the road, NC State down the road. Everybody wants to see the big one go down. So that's a big deal because Duke's nearly never been hit with anything, and Zion was such a big star. And since the one and done era came in, there's always talk about are these players getting paid things on the side to go to certain schools, and this is one that's going through the court system, which can lead us to some concrete answers.
What is Zion being sued for?
He actually sued his agent first. His ex-agent. He signed a deal with Gina Ford in April of 2019 for marketing representation, and then a month later decided he wanted to go with CAA, a much larger firm, for contracts and marketing. So she exercised a clause that said he owed her $100 million for breaking the contract. So he sued, saying that his contract with her was never was void because she wasn't registered as an agent in North Carolina, and so she violated North Carolina agent laws. She countersued, saying that Zion was never really an athlete, an eligible student athlete, because he had taken improper benefits, so he never should have been declared. Therefore, the law doesn't apply to him. So she has a suit in Florida. He has a suit in federal court in Greensboro, North Carolina, and they're both kind of going through the process right now.
Does she have evidence of what Zion Williamson or any of his representatives, his parents, took from these shoe companies?
No, right now it's just allegations. We've asked several times for, what kind of evidence do you have? They have not presented anything publicly or in the court system. So we're still waiting on that. They wanted to depose him and ask him questions about it. And his law attorneys don't want that to happen. They're trying to stop that. They're trying to get the case thrown out before we even come to a discovery phase. So that's where we stand at this point.
What are his options?
Well, he can settle with her, and I think that's kind of what this is. It's leverage on either side. I mean, she wants $100 million. He wants to pay her nothing. So somewhere in the middle, they're going to reach a compromise probably before this gets any further. I have to believe that's where we're headed toward. But in the meantime, there's a lot of pressure being applied in both directions.
Any response from Duke?
Just their regular response that, they investigated his finances, his family's finances. The NCAA did it when they cleared him to play initially at Duke in April of 2019 when Michael Avenatti made his allegations as part of his extortion against Nike that Zion was paid, the Coach K was involved. Duke did another look at Zion's situation, not the athletic department, but the school. And they said they found no evidence to support any of these allegations. So that's where they are. They are steadfast that he's done nothing wrong. They've done nothing wrong. And that's where they stand at this point.
How does this go badly for Zion and Duke?
If they don't reach an agreement and he has to be deposed and he's under oath, and they've presented pointed questions like, did you take payments? Did anybody with your family take payments along the way? Was Coach K involved with these payments? That kind of stuff. Which again, there's no evidence to that yet out publicly, but those are the questions they want to ask him. And they've even Gina Ford's side, Prime Sports Marketing attorneys, have even made inroads about deposing Coach K, and other people are surrounding Zion, his family, things like that. So whenever you're under oath and you're being questioned in a deposition situation, who knows what they could ask and who knows what you'll have to answer and what could come out.
But is that more of a threat, a legal threat to say, hey, we're thinking about deposing your family here and Coach K, and if you're Zion Williamson, do you want to go down that road?
Right, and that's the fear. And so I think that's where the pressure is being applied to try to reach a settlement. And I don't think they do. Now, they claim that they've done nothing wrong. Duke claims nothing's been done wrong. But yet Zion's attorneys have not come out full throat and said, we deny all these allegations. That hasn't happened yet. I don't know if they're holding that back as part of the leverage or what, but that hasn't happened. So I think that before this comes to deposition, I have to believe they're going to come to a settlement, because at some point, he has to decide, does he want to just make this go away?
But if you come to a settlement, is that sort of the court of public opinion is going to be like, okay, he took something, Duke knew about this, what does the NCAA do if there is a settlement in a situation like this? Do they, they usually like somebody to do all the work for them, and then they come in. But how does the NCAA get involved in this if there's a settlement with Zion and the former marketing person?
They're going to want to go back and take a look at it. They almost have to. And just like with all the other cases that are going on that surrounded the Adidas thing and the FBI, you're right. They want people to do most of the work for them. That's why they're, I'm sure, hoping this deposition happens so that one way or another, they can put it to bed, right? They either he admits he did something wrong or under oath admits he didn't. And then you go from there. So, that's, again, I think the NCAA will have to look at this again, even though they say they already have when Zion came into school. Duke has shared everything they gathered in the second investigation with the NCAA. They work in conjunction. So that's where they stand with that.
Yeah, and I still go back to the audio tape of the Kansas assistant, and he is heard talking about what Zion's family or stepfather wants to go to Kansas. This isn't going to Creighton. This is going to Kansas. So are we under the belief or of the belief that he wants something or his dad wants something to go to Kansas, but then he doesn't want something at Duke? I mean, I'm just trying to be logical here. I don't want to cast aspersions as much as I just want to go, okay, I might need something. He needs something from Kansas, but then he goes to Duke and he doesn't need anything. Does that make sense to you?
It's not logical, is it? In the real world, it doesn't make sense that would happen. And, there was some talk about Clemson and one of their assistants who lost his job as part of the investigation, the FBI stuff, his involvement with Zion, saying that, he made trips there and things like that. So, it doesn't logically make sense. And that's why, to me, if he goes under oath and says what he believes is true, that he didn't do anything wrong, that would be the best outcome for Duke and the NCAA. Because if it does go away with a settlement, everybody's still going to wonder, like you said, what happened?
Yeah.
Well, what did he really do? We had this situation with Duke 8-9 years ago with Lance Thomas, who was on the 2010 championship team, who got some jewelry from a jeweler in Manhattan during his senior year, and then the jeweler sued him because Lance didn't pay him for it. He got it free for a while. They settled it out of court, and they just went away. So again, that's the case where everybody always points back to Lance Thomas. What really happened with that? What did Duke know? What they didn't know? And it never really came to fruition.
How much are the Carolina fans enjoying this?
It's great for them. It's message board, fodder for State, Carolina, Kentucky. Anybody who hates Duke, this is what you wanted to have happen. We've seen a lot of programs go down like this, right? Or get in the muck. Kansas, you mentioned. I mean, for years, Kansas was one of the shining lights of college basketball, and then now they're down in the muck with everybody else. So yeah, whenever somebody's on top, there's plenty of other people that want to see him go down.
Steve, good stuff. We'll be following. We appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Dan. Good to be with you.
That's Steve Wiseman, the Duke beat writer for the Raleigh News and Observer.